Hello, dear listener. Thank you for joining me again for Alicia's Desk Storytime. Now, today we have The Lady of the Lighthouse, McGower's Lighthouse. It was originally a Kindle novella, but it outgrew that, and I am going to be turning it into 3 shorter books. But I'd like to read the first part of the first one, McGower's Lighthouse, to you here today. It is told from the female protagonist's point of view. Let's dive in, shall we? The Lady of the Lighthouse, McGower's Lighthouse, Chapter 1, McGower's Lighthouse. Most people come to McGower's Lighthouse to vacation or ghost hunt or try their luck against the lighthouse's reputation for eerie, unexplained disappearances. Most of my clients and myself think the reputation is hooey. I see ghosts and such, but spirits rarely physically interact with the corporeal world. Spirits being able to snatch people up into thin air? Absolutely ridiculous. I came to McGower's Lighthouse to search for my client's runaway wife, not to be a PI kebab from some pissed-off spirit's kinetic display which was currently going on around myself and the black-clad woman I had bumped into while snooping around for the lighthouse's security footage. I got the distinct impression that she was not supposed to be here either because she was snooping around too, and I doubted that she was a fellow PI. I wanted to close this case quickly and pay my almost late rent. I needed to get this check and get back to looking for my missing ghost guide, Frank. Frank had gone missing 6 months ago at the end of the case that had given me the ability to speak with the dead, after haunting me since birth. Not only did it suck that he was nowhere to be found, right after getting the ability that lets me talk to him, but it was also terrible timing. Since gaining an ability to speak with the dead, the supernatural would not leave me alone. I was grateful for Frank's colleague, Walt Gaines, who had stepped in to assist me while I was in a lurch. Walt was a private investigator and demon hunter when he was alive. Now he is a ghost with a Wendigo spirit bonded to his soul, and my supernatural world expert. I ducked my head as another piece of heavy furniture flew past me to crash and splinter against the stone wall. Why the hell couldn't I get a regular case these days? No ghosts or weirdness. I groaned as the air got colder. A temperature drop meant that the spirit who was throwing a tantrum was gathering more energy to itself, and that was never good. I groaned. Where was Walt? He should have been here by now. Walt functioned as my supernatural backup and protection if things went bad on a case, a sort of partner, if you will, much as Frank always had been before his disappearance. I wondered if this was another one of Walt's teachable moments about the supernatural. Walt loved his teachable moments. I hope not, and he better hope not too. Scree crash! The glass entryway table flung itself past me, missing me by an inch, and shattered against another wall. Miss Thief, the lady clad in black, jumped out of the way and landed with her back to the far wall. Some of the glass shards ricocheted back at me, one of them slicing off a lock of my coppery-colored hair, though that was too close for comfort. Knocked out of my shock, I dropped and huddled for safety, realizing as I did that I was pinned down on the hardwood floor in the middle of the room while furniture flew overhead. Damn this case. Now, officially, my client's wife was labeled missing, but in my experience, you do not pack a couple of suitcases with sentimental keepsakes and clean out the bank accounts if your departure isn't pretty well thought out. When Walt originally tracked the lady's energy trail to the McGower's Lighthouse, we just figured that she was using the lighthouse's reputation as part of her plan to disappear. The lighthouse's long-running reputation for unexplained disappearances originally began with the woman that it was built for, Valia Moore. The story went that Miss Moore was the object of a wealthy industrial's son and heir, Randall Durling's undying affection, and by some accounts, they say unhealthy fascination. Miss Moore refused his offers of marriage, but as the years passed, they had a son together all the same. There is also a local folk legend that tells a much darker tale. According to legend, Valia Moore was a mermaid who Randall Durling caught while fishing in the ocean. He became obsessed with her and refused to let her go back to the sea. Legend says that he took her magic string of pearls that allowed her to go back to the water and hid it from her, effectively landlocking her. He conceded to all her wishes, even building her a lighthouse tower by the ocean, save for one. He never allowed her to return to the sea. As the tale goes, her 7 sisters come to the lighthouse's shore when the moon is high in the sky and sing their grief for their lost sister. Quite the tale. According to local history, Miss Moore and her small son ended up disappearing a short time after Durling's forced marriage to a wealthy socialite, Viviana Ravens, who then disappeared herself while visiting the lighthouse. The socialite's mother and 3 sisters also disappeared while visiting the property. Many at the time suspected the socialite of foul play and that Miss Moore's vengeful spirit took the justice that was her due. Directly after the disappearance, Randall Durling went to the lighthouse several times to join his beloved Valleja, but eventually passed away in a nursing home. Before Durling died, he willed the lighthouse and all his lands to the lighthouse caretaker's son, Joseph McGowers, who it was renamed for. To this day, there have been over 100 unexplained disappearances at the lighthouse. And right now, I was worried that I would be the next one. Glass shards imploded at us from every window in the room, the cold, salty air from the shore rushing in with the broken glass. From the middle of the floor, I saw a Miss Thief dive from the wall to duck and cover, with startling speed considering how curvy she was, under a desk near the opposite wall. The screaming and yowling started and then picked up speed and intensity as whatever was in the lighthouse decided to voice its displeasure. Possibly due to being disturbed, possibly because we were here after hours, possibly we were just where we should not be. I wasn't sure what the entity's problem was. The only thing that I was sure on was that it had a problem, and that it wanted us to know about it at full volume. Dear God, I thought my ears were going to start bleeding, and once again I wished with everything that I had that Frank was here. At least he would be able to talk to whatever this was and figure out what we needed to do instead of me just huddling through what amounted to a spirit tantrum. I didn't dare move as the heaviest furniture started being tossed around like tinker toys. Crash, thwack, clang, smash. The full-on poltergeist symphony continued even after I thought this thing had broken every piece of available furniture that the room held. I wondered if it was going to start pulling the stones out of the walls and chucking them next. Instead, this thing opted for trying to drag both the thief and myself across the stone floor and into midair. I heard the other girl call out a quick, clipped crap as she was wrenched out from under the desk, which promptly hurled itself across the room to shatter against the opposite wall. And then she was yanked upward to start spinning in midair. She was strangely composed as her baseball cap was ripped off her head and her long dark curls burst to cascade in every direction. I saw her face. She looked pissed off rather than the more logical terrified. And that's it for this section. Join me next time for Chapter 2. Talk to you soon. Bye, and thanks for listening.